Ooh, hello there, my fellow miners and crafters. GoodTimesWithScar here, and welcome back to the making of Hermit Quest. And we're here at the Enchanter, which I'm super excited about because in today's episode, we're finally going to build the reason that this entire castle was built in the first place, somewhere for the players of Hermit Quest to come and enchant their tools and armor and all sorts of wonderful things. But we need to look at what we worked on in our last episode and also talk about all the incredible suggestions you guys had in the comments. I'd asked you quite a few different things, and let's start kind of going over some of them. So first thing was, what do we do about the king's office? So we have some maps, we have some portraits. Which one should we choose? Now, you guys had said the maps look cool, but I saw this amazing comment that just blew my mind, and I hadn't thought of it before, was to take the maps and actually make kind of a war map room over in this section here. And I thought that was an absolutely wonderful idea for this side over here. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to replace that map with a portrait. So I think that'll look really, really great. Now, up this staircase is, of course, our dining room. So we've got a beautiful dining room, chairs, and a roaring fire. But one thing I'd ask you guys is, what should we do for food? Is there anything we can do to make this thing feel as if there's food on the table? So let's kind of dive in over here. So something you'd mentioned was invisible armor stands. Totally blew my mind. I had no idea that was a thing, but I have no idea how to make that be a thing. So help me with that in the comments. Like, type out the codes, whatever I need to do with the command block to make something like that happen, because wow, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? So moving on, next thing we need to think about, and this is where I need to start getting some you guys help brainstorm some ideas, is we need to make this an open air market. And what I've been thinking about is doing some stands, maybe themed towards our Skyrim build from long ago. So we build up some stands along the edges here. And this could be places for NPCs to sell books, sell different things along those lines. Of course, this isn't where you would get potions, but this is where potentially there could be maybe lapis for enchanting. Maybe, you know, like I'd said, books. I'm just trying to think of magic things. So, but yeah, I'm very happy with the progress. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to this tower and that tower just over there because unfortunately I had a lot of doctor things this week, and it's finally over. So now I can finally start playing the mining and the crafting. So let's start heading underground and planning out today's episode. So it has been a while since we've been down here, and this was where we built our beautiful tunnel that leads down to the enchanting chamber made of crystals and all sorts of wonderful things. And that's kind of the theme, like we talked about a while ago, is that this castle is made of magical people, and the magical people get their magic from the crystal cave idea. And from that, we're going to have players come here within the game, and that's where they enchant, of course, their tools and weapons. And you work your way down this incredible cave. This took days to make. So I just look at this like, oh, I'm so glad it's done. So this is awesome. But this is where we left off. We had this incredible entrance into the chamber room. So that's where we got to get. So why don't we do a little magic here, and let me switch my game modes, and we'll go into spectator mode and plan this out a little bit. So these little cave linings, see where those little torches are lined? I do not know if that is something that Stress is planning for her underground area. So I'm kind of concerned about that, but I think we were above that, so we're not going to interfere there. We have enough room to make a really beautiful cathedral ceiling here. Apparently that's a black hole. Don't go through there. It's like a wormhole. I've seen Star Trek. So I think that'll look really cool. So we'll build up a big cathedral room in here, big crystal in the center. And then my idea is to potentially, so follow me on this one. All right, I'm gonna get a little crazy, okay? All right, is everybody okay with that? Can your favorite scar get a little crazy for you? All right, we're gonna try. So I'm gonna have it do like one spiral. So you make a big spiral walkway as you work your way down just a little bit lower. And then of course you meet to where the enchanter is here. I know, we're in the void right here, Azuma's void. And then we'll do the enchanter, and there'll be a big doorway that'll lead you out. So that is my idea for this particular thing. Now, the exit of this is going to be somewhere over here. We're going to do a little mining activity in this area also. But yeah, I think that's the idea that we need to start getting started with. So what we need to do is we need to jump into super fast build mode and start terraforming out a cave. End of super fast build mode, and now we have ourselves a great canyon, and this is looking super good. All these little candles remind me of the Great Hall in Harry Potter. They're all kind of floating about. It looks kind of cool. Anyway, so here we go. This little point right there is generally where the main enchanting table is going to be. Now within that enchanting table, it's going to be a giant crystal, and up on the ceilings there's going to be lots more, similar to what we've done of course in the Scarland, Wells's cave and things of that nature. And I think this is going to be really, really cool. So my thoughts are, and work with me on this one. So we have this little section right here. It's almost kind of like a little room that kind of prepares you, if you will, to be opened up into a giant cavern. So when you walk up to this point, you're going to be able to see down a little bit lower into the area. You can see the enchanting table, you can see the crystals, but what you're going to be able to do then is kind of have a walkway that goes in a circular pattern around the center, but slowly gets lower and lower and lower as it goes. So I think that's going to look really, really cool. So do you see what I mean by this? We're going to have this little kind of come out like that, and you're going to slowly swirl down to the bottom, and then you'll meet up, of course, down here where the actual enchanter will be, and then there'll be an exit here going out. Now, the question is that the right way of doing it? I mean, we can always mix it up a little bit and have people travel back up, or have people travel outwards. Now, the reason I'm doing this is that I'm thinking about keeping people from going back up. I feel like it potentially is a way of balancing the game and making people, keep having to go around if they want to go out. You see what I mean by that? I want people to fully take over this area. Just trying to think in terms of how players will interact with the space. Of course, we're going to need to terraform this. We lost part of our mountain, so that's definitely going to have to get fixed. But I think this is the right course of action, and let's hit super fast build mode once again and start working out that spiral staircase. End of super fast build mode, and I never want to see the side of smooth stone ever again. I've been down here for 2 days working in here, but look at this. This was so well worth it. I am so happy with the way this has all come out. Look at this incredible cavern and spiral staircase leading down to the eventual location where the crystalline enchanter will be. I am so very, very pleased, but let's talk about game mechanics here for a moment. So down in this little spot, you see this little pillar going upwards, that kind of represents the enchanter, right? So that's kind of the crystal that's gonna go upwards, and I think that's gonna look really cool. Now, originally I was hoping to do the enchanter in a way that we didn't need bookcases where we could do some command block magic and we could just get whatever code we wanted to, or percentage or level 30, level 20, whatever. You see what I mean? But I couldn't think of a way if we could do that. But if you can think of something, please let me know in the comments. But this is my idea. Down here, we have the Enchanter, right? And then these are bookcases on either side. So we build up this little kind of cocoon, if you will, of stone, and then from that the crystal kind of emerges out of it. Now this works in two ways. We block out all the unsightly bookcases and enchanters from our pure magical crystal, and also this can act as a bit of cover, but not a lot of cover. I don't want this to be fully enclosed so you have this little perfect little hideaway, but I want there to be a little bit of cover in case players come out from the top up here and start shooting down at you. I want you to be slightly exposed but have a little bit of cover. Now let's talk a little bit more about the game mechanics of the room. So I was talking to Augie, the Ogster, of course, and he was saying this could be a really cool area for PvP within the game of Hermit Quest, and I totally agree. This is going to be amazing. So when players come out of this area, they're going to have a great sight line on the bottom down here. They're going to be able to look and check their corners, make sure there's no players, hiding and lurking with their arrows. So if there are players down there, they do have an advantage of height. Now they can go into a giant bow attack, start shooting their bows down below. Now for the players here, like I was saying, I want to create just a little bit of cover from that and a way out. So I want to do another little cavern like right here that players could make an emergency exit out of. Now, they do have an advantage down here in the fact that they potentially do have enchants now, whereas the players up here most likely don't because they're coming to the Enchanter to get the enchants. So that's that one. Now, what was I thinking? Oh, over here. So this is another thing that I was just kind of coming up with before I started the record here, was if we build this like this. So if a player is working their way down the staircase and they drop down 2 blocks, okay? This is so that players cannot get back up this spiral staircase and work their way around back up into the castle. I want players, once they've enchanted, they have to work their way back out this cavern and into the mines and out. I don't want people to go back up in through the castle. Now there's a reason for this, is because I want people to move throughout the castle and I want people to see different things, and the whole point of this is exploration. So each of these little caverns are new rooms, and I don't want you backtracking through different rooms. I want this to be a new experience as you go through and see lots of different things. And you got to think in terms of players making videos and stuff along those lines. You don't want players to go through the same area so the viewer sees the same thing over and over. You want them to constantly see different things. So not only think in terms of creating great PvP arena areas, but also in terms of the viewer watching these players interact with the environments. 2 different ways of looking at doing these builds. And it's very interesting. I've been trying to put some thought into that. But yeah, so I think this will be perfect. So when players walk down here, they fall down 2 blocks, we cut this out 1 layer down, and then they can't go back upwards. Now, if a player's here and they don't want to engage, they can just go back up and through the castle. But once they've come all the way down here, they've committed to the Enchanter, and there's no way out. Kind of like Haunted Mansion there, doesn't it? A little spooky. All right, so we've got to get busy now. So over in this little corner here, I originally was thinking about doing some of this in wood. So I kind of went back and forth a little bit, but remembering that the entire tunnel leading down here is in this stone, mixed stone type, then I decided, all right, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it in this way. So I need your guys' help. How can we do something in this room to break up some of the stone besides the colorful crystals? Is there something wood related? We need just have a real heavy focus on all of the woods in the room, and we need something to break it up. So if you have any ideas, go hashtag cave designs and just give me any ideas you have for this room to break up the kind of the stone. Also, if there's any kind of fun little accessories, maybe in some of these little corners, we have like a mine, and that's where you can get some lapis or something along those lines. So if you have any ideas for this room, just start using your imagination while we jump back into super fast build mode, and then go hashtag cave designs and let me know what you think. And yeah, so I'm going to continue this pattern all the way down. And like I said, hit that super fast build mode one more time. End of super fast build mode once again, and we have a huge chunk of progress done once again. We now have variety, texture, and depth built into our floor. So we're starting to kind of get ourselves out of that sterile, gray that was throughout the room, and it's getting a little rustic, and I'm loving every minute of it. So some of this time has given me some thought because I've been working on this for so long, and it's funny because it feels like we got nothing done, but we also got a huge portion done. Does that make sense? Because all of this was placed by hand. I removed this all by a world edit, but all of this other stuff has all been placed by hand. So that's a thing. But it's been fun. It's been totally fun. So what I want to start doing is building up a little archway over in this little section here to mimic what we have built on the outside. So I really like this design. So I want to carry on with something similar with that on this outside portion. So if we built up something along here like that. Now, the reason I like to build these little tunnels is it just gives a little bit of an impression that you get kind of in a claustrophobic space and then opens up into a bigger room. It's kind of like you walk down the hall, you see all the cool little details along the hallway, and then you kind of get tight in this little spot right here, and then it opens up into this massive cathedral style ceiling with the crystals and all those things once we get to that point. But like I said, it feels like we haven't got a lot done, but I placed like tens of thousands of blocks. But I think it's actually starting to look pretty cool. So we need to start working out a design that looks fairly good on this inside section. So we start to kind of build up some blocks along here with some acacia, and it's really given me a lot of time to think. And that's always important, a lot of time to really think and kind of have your thoughts to yourself. And that allows you to really kind of, in some ways, be very creative. And I think I've come up with some pretty cool ideas once we get to that part of the build where we start maybe adding some mine carts, moving different crystals about the build. And I think that's going to be really fun and really interesting. And I don't think you get that when you are, for instance, just kind of listening to a podcast, things like that. Now, I love doing that. If there's a podcast on, I love, listening to that as I build. But sometimes it's great to just sit here in utter silence and build. And it's just, I don't know, there's something in your head that kind of like slows down a little bit, and you're able to kind of concentrate. You don't have a lot of distractions, and you can think about all sorts of cool little details that might not come to your head if you have a lot of distractions going on. So I think that's a good way. One way I always found to be very creative back in the day when I was a swimmer was to do pull sets. So pull sets would be where you are just using your arms to pull. You have a pull buoy, which would go between your legs so that it would make them float, and you wouldn't have to work to keep them, buoyant, I guess. And it was very strangely, some of my most creative thoughts came from that. I don't know why. I always thought of some really good ideas. Now, if we did a standard, set, if we were doing a kick set, anything along those lines, it was nowhere near the pull set. It was just you just get into this rhythm of just going back and forth the pool. It was relatively easy for me to pull rather than kick. I knew some friends of mine on somebody that were so bad at pulling, they would struggle. But me, I could do it all day. I wasn't that great of a kicker. I didn't have the same feet, I guess, as some of the other swimmers. They had huge feet, whereas I had pretty good arms and stuff along those lines where I could pull. But it was just a place super calm, super quiet, and I could just think, and it would allow me to come up with some really, really sweet ideas. I don't really love this, not a lot, so I'm gonna fix it. Cut this out. There you go. Look at that. Cut that all out of there. Never fear, never fear. Destroy what you build. Never fear, like I always say, to destroy what you build, because you can always build it again. So I'm loving this. Slowly loving this, by the way. I had to preface that because it wasn't coming out that great in the first shot. So yeah, I'm going to continue to play around with this a little bit more, and I'll catch you in just a minute. And welcome back, and we've got the archway built up and ready to go, but I've also removed all of the lighting from the ceiling, and it has created an incredibly spooky and eerie feeling inside the cave. So here's our entrance. Remember how we talked about this? We kind of claustrophobic down a little bit and then open up into this incredible cave. Look at this thing. This thing is absolutely stunning. and just so eerie the way the path kind of goes downwards and the light kind of just shines a little up onto the roof here. Now, I'm considering just keeping this dark all of the time. Now, we will have to contend with the light that the crystals do give off, so we'll have to kind of figure out how that's all going to go, but let's just work our way down. Now, I've added the light under the carpets, and I think it's so perfectly positioned that it just creates kind of a trail that helps you follow the line. You know that the farther you go down, so every time you're going more and more down, you're getting closer and closer to the actual enchanter. Now, every time you see a pathway going upwards, that means it's going to take you out. So there's not like paths that go up, down, and around. It's just if you simply follow these directions, just down and then back up, those are the ways out. So there's not a bunch of, haphazard pathways here and there. So it's very simple. But look at this place. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we got this much done in one episode. This is stunning. Took multiple days, but this is good, guys. Like, I think when players come in here, they're going to be blown away by all of the details, especially once we get all the stuff built up down here, and we need to design an exit strategy. So if you want to, in the comments, go #exit strategy and help me come up with an idea. Do you like my idea of doing a way out through maybe somewhere along here? We can do a little arch and it's a way out by going up and out. Or do you think it is better to go, follow the staircase all the way back up and up through the castle? Like, let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe you'll come up with something that I had no idea before. Maybe even a minecart exit like Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye. Wait, no, that's the Disneyland ride. Temple of the Doom, that's the movie. Maybe something along those lines. I don't know. I think any of those things could be really cool. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode as we built this stunningly crazy cave. And until next time, this has been Good Times with Scar, and we'll see you later.